presenting, and then make sure your mute is activated so that we can ensure that background noise is not going to disrupt our time together today. I'm going to turn my camera off as well. I am Dr. Nika White. I serve as Program Administrator for Minority Business Accelerator Initiative, and I serve as the Senior Advisor to the Greenville Chamber's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Initiative. And to kick us off, I am going to welcome Mr. Carlos Phillips to come and provide a welcome for us at this time. Carlos?
All right, thank you, Nika. And thank you for joining us today for today's interest meeting for the Minority Business Accelerator program. I'm Carlos Phillips, President and CEO of the Chamber. I can't tell you how glad I am to be here with you to welcome you to today's meeting. Not only do I want to thank you for being here today, I also want to thank our mentors for the program, many who have joined today. And they do a great job throughout the year of helping to provide great information for our MBA participants. Also want to thank Wendell. Wendell was a new instructor last year, but past year he's gotten a lot of experience under his belt, and he's been great for the program, Wendell. So thank you. And then I want to thank Nika again as well. Nika has really helped to build this Minority Business Accelerator program into what it is today, and it is quite valuable resource for minority and women-owned businesses throughout the upstate. So Nika, I want to thank you as well. So why are you here today? You are here because you want to learn how to grow your business, how to run your business more effectively, and that's what the Minority Business Accelerator does. It was launched after recognizing that most minority and women-owned businesses in our area are sole proprietors. So most minority and women-owned businesses have one employee, and that one employee is the owner. That one employee is the HR manager, it's the finance manager. That one employee is the sales manager. That one employee is also the custodian and everything. So we recognize that most of our minority and women-owned businesses are sole proprietors, and that's not the best path to achieving wealth and prosperity. So the Chamber began investing in resources that would help minority and women-owned businesses grow. And that investment is the Minority Business Accelerator. It is a robust curriculum that participants will follow throughout the year. There's a lot of rigor. It is not an easy program. And I'm sure there will be times where participants may wish they had not embarked upon this journey. But I can tell you from speaking to several MBA participants that everyone who has completed the program, they are thankful that they have completed it. We see proof that this program is making a big difference and having a significant impact on our economy. Businesses who are participating in this program, they are growing, they are scaling, they are hiring people, they are far exceeding the revenue projections that they had expected, and they're really pleased with that. Again, I'm excited about that as well, and I think you will be too. Today is the first step. You have decided to gain more information, and I'm thankful that you have done that, and I wish you well. I wish your business well, and I look forward to seeing you as you progress through the Minority Business Accelerator program. Thanks again, Nika.
Thanks so much, Carlos. We appreciate you being here and being such a champion of this program. And we know that you have another meeting to get to, but we're just glad that you stopped by to be able to let us hear from you. So thanks so very much. We appreciate it. So we're going to move forward with the agenda, and I'm going to take us to the next slide. And again, as I mentioned, my name is Dr. Nika White. I want to welcome each of you to our interest meeting today. I do serve as the program administrator. I want to also acknowledge just a couple people that have been very instrumental to this program, and many of which you're going to hear from later. But first and foremost, if you are one of our current cohort members, we met earlier today, and this was our last convening from a class perspective, and it was a little bittersweet, but at the same time, it was so enjoyable to do round robins and to hear all of the great things that are happening across each of the participants' businesses. And so we're grateful for each of you for being here with us today. We do have members of the graduating class from previous years, and so this program has been in existence since 2013. And we're grateful for their continued support and engagement in the Minority Business Accelerator program. I also want to acknowledge Beth Beach, who serves as our coach chair. You're going to hear from her later as she talks about the coaching aspect of the Minority Business Accelerator program. And you're also going to hear from, I mentioned his name before, Wendell Jones, who serves as our fearless instructor. And this is his first year serving in that capacity, and I can tell you that he did not disappoint. He's gained a lot of additional family members by way of the participants that have had the pleasure of falling under his leadership this year. And I'm sure I'm missing lots of other folks, but I will also let you know that we have among our group today assembled coaches who have given up a lot of their time, talents to be able to walk shoulder to shoulder with our participants to ensure their success, as well as our financial experts. And you'll hear a little bit more about how in which we leverage those individuals as we continue throughout the day. I also want to recognize any individuals that are here with the One Spartanburg Inc., formerly known as Spartanburg Chamber, but they are a partner to us. This program is offered to any individual that's part of the upstate, any 10 counties within the upstate, and Spartanburg Chamber for the second year in a row for 2021 is joining forces with us to partner, which means that if you are a member of the Spartanburg Chamber and you fit any of the categories of being a veteran-owned business, an ethnic minority-owned business, or a woman-owned business, we want you to apply for this program so that we can put you on the journey of growing your business to the next level. So thank you kindly. I'm not sure if Dr. Russell Booker is here, but if so, we appreciate you. Maybe turn your camera on so I can see you for a quick moment, but we appreciate you being here. And I know that Jalitha Moore is also a part of that team. So at this time, what I'd like to do is just draw your attention to the screen, and we're going to share a video. It's going to give you an overview of the Mba Experience, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more in depth about each of the components. Just a second, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can get to the video. Hi, I'm Dr. Nika White, Senior Advisor for the Greenville Chamber's Diversity and Inclusion Initiative and Program Administrator for the Minority Business Accelerator Program. We are so excited to be entering our 8th year of offering the MBA program. It is where we take high potential ethnic minority-owned firms, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and even businesses that operate in low to moderate income communities. And we put them through this ecosystem where they're receiving targeted training, technical assistance. We help them build capacity and scale to size, all so that they can compete more effectively in the marketplace.
The MBA program that's offered through the Greenville Chamber is one of 6 programs of its kind offered throughout the country by chambers, and we're so excited to have this as a flagship initiative. The impact has been tremendous. Since inception of the program in 2013, we have realized across our portfolio of businesses $23+ million in new revenue and contracts that have been awarded, as well as approximately 240 full-time employment opportunities that have been created. The program is having impact. Each year, we select a cohort of up to 20 participants for the Minority Business Accelerator program. We realize that there are many others that are on a trajectory of business success, but they're not quite ready for the MBA program. And in that regard, we're really excited for 2020 to be offering a feeder program through a partnership with South Carolina SBDC. And the program is entitled Entrepreneurial Pathways, Strategic Foundations. While it's a program that's separate from the MBA initiative, it certainly allows those individuals who are in that experience to be able to get better prepared to be selected for MBA in the future. So when individuals apply to the MBA program, they're also being vetted for the feeder program, which gives us the ability to decipher what is the best fit for them at that particular time.
I'm Earl Gregorich. I'm the area manager for the Greenville Area Small Business Development Center. So the SBDC is working to provide a feeder program where we can leverage the professional skills of our consultants within our network to prepare those who are going into the Minority Business Accelerator, especially those who are in need of additional assistance who may not have the foundational skills that might be required for MBA. If applicants are able to get into the Entrepreneurial Pathway program, our goal is to make sure that they have skills in some of the basic areas, and what we find is sales and marketing, financial guidance, and also leadership skills and the like are all things that we find that small businesses in the startup phases or early stage development are in need of assistance with. These are core to the MBA program, and the SBDC consultants are here to help bring those skill levels up so that they are on par with what the MBA program might demand.
We continue to leverage the Interrise curriculum, which is an award-winning curriculum that helps us to build up the business acumen of all of the participants of the MBA program. One of the other changes for the MBA program in 2020 is we're so excited to welcome a new instructor, and that instructor is Wendell Jones.
Hey, I'm Wendell Jones, and I am the lucky one. I'm fortunate enough to be your teacher this year. I'm so excited because being with you, I get to do my, listen to this correctly, I get to do my thing. Not my thing, my thing. Your thing is different. It's that thing that gets you excited, gets the juices flowing, and you find the place you feel like you were created for. I absolutely love to teach. I absolutely love entrepreneurship. I absolutely love the idea of giving back to my community. All of that was captured in this idea of being the MBA instructor. And so I ran for it. I ran towards it so I can hang out with you, share with you the things I've learn from you as well. My background consists of, I was a banker for several years, 13 years to be exact, left that to be an entrepreneur myself, had a nationwide insurance franchise in Spartanburg and in Greenville, sold that recently, and now I'm focusing entirely on the Wendell Jones Leadership Institute, which focuses on professional and management development, also entrepreneurship, certified with the Kaufman Foundation to be an entrepreneurial instructor. So I'm ready. I've got the credentials. I just need the audience, and that's you. And so I'm looking forward to coming to hang out with you, and we're going to grow together. And guess what? We're going to make a serious impact on this city together. The success of your company rests on your shoulders. You need to have as much help, as much information. You need to have this community that we're going to build for you. Don't overlook that part. Yeah, you got stuff you got to do, but man, we're going to build this community of entrepreneurs for you. It already exists, but there's more that's coming. You need to have that network of people that you can call. You need those people who can speak life into you when you're down, who actually understands what it feels like to be in your shoes. So you did a great thing. You did a smart thing by being here. Now do a smarter thing by signing up. You won't regret it.
One of the greatest assets of the MBA program are the coaches that align themselves, their talent, their expertise, to help walk shoulder to shoulder with our participants so that they can be successful in executing to their strategic growth action plans.
I'm Beth Veach, owner of Entrepreneur Acumen, and for the last 3 years, I've had the pleasure of serving as a coach in the MBA program. Actually, the last 2 years, I've had the privilege of chairing the group of coaches. Every participant in the program is assigned a coach, and this is someone out of the business community who actually has either built a business themselves in the past or is in the process of building one. So they really understand the entrepreneurial spirit. They understand the grit and determination that it takes in meeting the challenge of growing a business and the confidence it takes to solve the problems while staying optimistic. Through the homework that the participants do, the learning through the classroom sessions, and their CEO peer mentoring groups, what the coach is doing is working with them to connect that learning to their daily operations. How can they use that education today to improve their businesses? But also, coaches are helping participants apply that learning to their big vision. What steps can they take to actually grow their business? And that's what will inform their 3-year strategic growth action plan. A new aspect of the 2020 program is the use of financial coaches. What we've learned is that everyone who comes into the program would like a better understanding of the finances of their business. So we have specific people who are well-trained, have an expertise in that area, who are going to be assigned to 1 or 2 of the participants and work with them throughout the year just on the finances of their business. We pair participants and coaches with great intention. We ask applicants to identify the 2 or 3 areas of greatest challenge in operating their business. And when recruiting coaches, we ask them to identify the 2 or 3 areas where they think they can bring the most value to participants. Once the cohort is determined, we take those 2 buckets of information and make the best matches that we can, matching the participants' challenges to the coach's value.
Our participants have had so many different success stories through their experience with MBA, but don't take our word for it. Let's hear directly from them.
So hello, I'm Tiffany Davidson Parker, and I'm the owner of Universal Therapeutic Services. I am part of the 2019 MBA cohort. And since beginning the cohort, I've learned so much. But before I started, oh my goodness, finances were truly a tough point for me and an area that I really needed to gain control of. So the MBA program has allowed me to better understand my finances, understand why they work and how they should work, and how I need to manage them so that we can scale, grow, and sustain.
My name is Erica Berg, and I own Collective Music Solutions. Coming into the MBA program, my day-to-day processes in my business were archaic. They were difficult, they were time-consuming, and I needed a kick in the butt to fix that. I knew it needed to be fixed, but the thought of fixing it was so overwhelming that I hadn't done it. And so the program, in addition to my coach, both of those things were huge for making me face what I needed to fix and also helping me do it, giving me the tools to do it. It wasn't like, hey, go fix these things. It was like, hey, we're gonna fix these and here's how we're gonna do it. And that was pretty next level.
So the 2 biggest takeaways that we have for the MBA program has been the partnerships that we've developed and also the coaches that we have been experiencing through the program. And the partnerships have been other cohorts that we are able to work with and partner with on projects to be able to actually bid that we would not have been able to participate before. So that has been great. That has been instrumental in a lot of our growth. And the second thing was the mentors, the coaches, and the Dominiques, the Tobys, the Nika Whites that have been there to push us along and to encourage us and to actually really speak over us and speak into us things that we never would have been able to come up with or think on our own. And those 2 things have just been valuable to us. So the mentors, coaches, and the partnerships have been 2 great takeaways. If you're a small business and you're on the fence trying to make a decision as to whether or not you're going to join the program or become a part of the MBA program, I strongly suggest that you would actually talk with a few of the cohorts that have graduated, that have come through the program, and actually ask them how they have benefited from it and what resources they have gained from it, because I can tell you there's no better program in this area that will offer you the resources that you would gain from the MBA program.
Now, if you're out there and you're still riding the fence, do I or do I not? Well, is there a better person to invest in than yourself? I'm telling you, you really don't want to miss this opportunity. You're going to be kicking yourself because it's one of those things you have to experience. Somebody will tell you about it and how great it was, but you really need to be at the table. So again, think enough of yourself and your business, your employees, your family, everybody that's connected to you, counting on you to be a success, and invest in yourself and come hang out with us.
We look forward to receiving your application, whether it's for the Minority Business Accelerator or the feeder program, Entrepreneurial Pathways, Strategic Foundations. We want to be able to connect with you and make sure that your business is successful.
Okay, we hope you all enjoyed that. I'm going to go back now to sharing the PowerPoint so that we can get back on that. Just a second.
Nika, I can share my screen if you want me to.
Almost there. Okay. Again, we hope you enjoyed that video. Now I want to do is just take a few moments to talk a little bit more in detail about the service model of Minority Business Accelerator. There's a couple slides that will accompany this portion. I know that you saw this in the video, but I think that it's worth amplifying. So since inception of 2013, we have realized across all of the portfolio of businesses that are in our portfolio, 23 million in contracts that have been awarded. This is new and additional revenue that is directly attributable to some level of activity of the MBA program. And we have not received numbers this year. We know that the reports and the surveys just went out not too long ago, so we look forward to having some additional news to share by the end of the year. That also equates to 240 full-time employment opportunities that have been added. Job creation is very important to us for this program, and that makes a difference in terms of the economic vitality of this area. So as you heard from the video, there's several different components that makes MBA effective. First of all, would be our partnership with Interrise, and we leverage their Interrise Streetwise MBA curriculum, which is an award-winning curriculum. The program also entails that each month we have CEO peer mentoring groups, which are smaller subsets of the full cohort that meet to support each other, and they have very specific assignments that they engage in during those convenings. We believe in not just being theoretical with the information that's being shared, but we bring in the opportunities for each of our cohort members to do live case studies. So they're talking about their real business issues, and they have thought partners all across the cohort that's helping them to go to the next level. As you heard from the video, one of the key deliverables is what we refer to as the SGAP, which is a 3-year strategic growth action plan. And there's several iterations of it that's going on throughout the program to get to that final one. And I say final because you're always continuing to tweak where necessary, but it gives you a roadmap and a blueprint that helps to be successful as you're planning to take your business to the next level. Business assessments are always important for us as well. We do it at the start, which gives us a great baseline of where each of the businesses are. And that helps to inform how in which we will deliver the instruction and even engage with the cohort members throughout the year. You are connected with an individual coach who walks shoulder to shoulder with you, helping you to address some of the challenges that you may encounter as you are growing your business and really learning about all of the aspects of being an entrepreneur. And as you heard from the video, we also find it very appropriate to make sure that you have access to a financial expert. The financial piece is something that's hard for a lot of business owners, no matter how long you've been an entrepreneur. And so we like to spend some time on the front end, as well as throughout the program, ensuring that you have all the necessary knowledge needed to properly engage around your financials. Technical assistance, we want to connect you with key contacts that we feel like could be helpful to you in your business growth journey. We coordinate pitch sessions on your behalf the second half of the year. And this is because we realize that part of growing to the next level has everything to do with your network and ensuring that you are in the consideration set when it's time for bids to go out and those opportunities. And so as a chamber, we have a lot of those relationships and we help coordinate that on your behalf. So that includes the introductions and referrals, exposure opportunities. For the past several years, we've had a really strong relationship to one of our partners, the Greenville Business Magazine. And for our cohort members, they have enjoyed being able to have their business exposed through ads in the Greenville Business Magazine. And then leadership sessions. We bring back many of our graduates to be able to share their experience and how in which they leverage the information and the tools that were being provided when they were in the program. We also have subject matter experts that come in and they will also share around topics that are not necessarily within the Enterprise curriculum, but yet and still really important. And we've found great value in adding that component to MBA. And then one of the ways in which we like to make sure we're paying it forward and all of our stakeholders are paying it forward is giving you an opportunity to engage as an ambassador in future years, maybe as a coach or as an investor or an advisor into the program. So now I'm going to turn it over to Wendell Jones. Again, you've heard us mention his name several times. You've gotten to get a little bit of flavor of his personality just from the video, but we're so excited to continue to partner with Wendell as the Enterprise Streetwise curriculum facilitator. And so Wendell, I will turn it over to you at this time.
Thank you, Nika. Hello, good people. Thank you guys so much for thinking enough of us and thinking enough of yourself to give us some time this afternoon. Trust me, when we're done, you need to hurry up, fill the form out so you can be a part of this program. And I know we are, you might think we're biased a little bit because, you know, we're knee deep into it, but you're going to hear from some of our cohorts in a little bit, and they'll tell you the truth about this thing. And I'm excited just to be the facilitator of this incredible curriculum. It's so incredible to me that I'm applying every bit of it in my own business. The thing that we're trying to do, and that you'll see on the slide in just a second, is that the heart behind the overriding goal behind the Enterprise curriculum is to help you develop capacity. You see that word there on the screen, capacity. Another word you'll hear us say quite often is scaling the business. But let's get down to even more simplified terms. Grow the business. I know you want to grow your business. Our goal is to teach you the tried, the tested and true systems and processes by which you can grow your business. And several folks have come before you. And so this curriculum absolutely works. We want you to grow because we want you to obtain the goals you have for yourself personally, the wealth building goals or whatever you may have for yourself and your family. But as Nika spoke on earlier, and something that's very important to me, and it really was the main reason I wanted to teach this curriculum, is that one of the things that Enterprise drives home, and this program drives home, is that as you grow your business, you absolutely get to change the lives of other people. We want you to employ other people, but also employ them at a level where you really do change their lives. Our goal is for you to be able to put them in position to have a livable wage and whatever in the community in which you live. And so that's exciting. You're going to hear from some of our folks today that even in the midst of COVID, their businesses, because of this curriculum and because of application of these principles and these and what was so amazing, Bernard, because I know Bernard's on here, what I'm so excited about is that COVID has proven that these principles are transcendent, meaning that they're bigger than the normal obstacles, because our guys this year have been able to accomplish incredible things, and they've been able to employ more people. And so again, I don't want to steal that thunder. You're going to learn about that. So our goal is to give you capacity that's going to change your life so you can turn around and change the lives of others. Now, how are we going to do that? Let's go through this and you'll get greater detail later. But we're going to focus on a couple things when I'm able to get my hands on you in the classroom. We're going to start off with goal setting and elevator pitches and things of that sort. And that sounds simple, but I'm glad it's the first thing we're going to talk about, because you've got to decide who you want to be when you grow up. You got to decide what your company is going to look like. You've got to decide what you want personally out of the business. And then we're going to develop the business goals, because I want you to learn upfront, quick and fast and in a hurry, is that everything we do in the name of your business is going to be an outpouring of you. And so you've got to decide what it is that you want. And then we're going to get to that challenging module that deals with financials that everybody's a little afraid of. But I promise you, we're going to slow walk you through it. We're going to give you all the tools so that you can learn how to read your numbers and learn how to direct your numbers so that you can afford and make the goals happen that we'll do in the first module. And then from there, we're going to talk about marketing. Everybody's excited about marketing. How do I get my name out there? How do I find my ideal client? All of that good stuff. We're going to bring all of that to the table for you. And then we're going to deal with human capital. How do I get the right people? Also financial capital. How do I get the support from my banking institution to help me grow my business? All of that stuff is going to culminate in the development of what you heard Nika mention earlier and Beth mentioned, the SGAP, the strategic growth plan, strategic growth action plan. You're going to put together a blueprint. And let me tell you this, again, in COVID, most of our folks, we found out today, and we met today, most of our folks have already surpassed their plan. That's how powerful the application of these principles are. So I cannot wait to get you exposed to it. Here's my promise to you. You're going to learn a lot, but you're also going to have fun. I also promise to you we're going to be accessible. You're going to be able to reach us. Nika fusses at me because sometimes I'm too accessible, but I just love what I do. So you guys have my number, and we're going to take you by the hand, and we're going to walk you into this place, and we're going to help you accomplish your dreams. So as you heard in the video, you don't want to miss this. You really don't. So if you're able to get in, jump in, and we're going to have a great year in 2021. Thanks, Nika.
Great. Thank you so much, Wendell. We appreciate your energy and all that you bring to this program. I now want to turn it over to Beth Veach. You have heard us mention her name several times today as well. Beth serves as the MBA chair of the coaching component, and she also oversees the planning of our CEO peer mentoring groups. And so Beth, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Nika. Gosh, it is so fun to see some names and faces earlier of people that I haven't seen in a long time, but we've talked about this program. And Bernard, it is so good to see you here from Enterprise. I'd like to talk first a little bit about the CEO peer mentoring groups and maybe add a little bit more description, maybe a verbal visual picture for you. So for example, this year we have 12 people in the cohort. And we have broken them into 3 CEO peer mentoring groups, obviously 4 people each, and they meet every time they meet, it's for 3 hours. The first 2 hours is always talking about what they're learning in the classroom, how they're applying it to their business, and how it informs this strategic growth action plan that we keep referring to, which is really the culminating document and an effort that our participants, this is what the program is all about. When the CEO groups meet is really dependent on the curriculum, because what you're doing when you get together is talking about what you've learned and how you're applying it. And again, that strategic growth action plan. But the point is that everyone in your small group has an opportunity to explain their business and to get feedback and suggestions and ideas. It's a very supportive, small environment. By the same token, every participant has the obligation to come prepared to listen and offer feedback and ideas to their CEO peer mentoring group members. So again, this is just a very unique way of as you are bonding,
with your large cohort members, you're then able to drill down and really get to know 3 or 4 others more intimately. And maybe most importantly, to serve as accountability partners to one another. When you say you're going to do something, is it done? If not, why not? So the first 2 hours of these meetings from January through July are all about talking about the curriculum you're learning and your growth plan. But then when the curriculum sessions end in July, we continue to meet. And so August through November, you have an opportunity to come in with your group and then talk about how's that implementation of your growth plan going? What's really working well? What were those ideas that you thought were really great ones that now you're really challenged by? And again, getting some support and ideas on that. So that's the first 2 hours of those meetings. And then the third hour, Nika referred to the fact that we bring in graduates and subject matter experts. Sometimes they're one and the same, but always graduates talk to the group about what their MBA experience was and how their implementation of their SCAP and the scaling of their business is going. To give you a flavor of some of the topics that our subject matter experts have talked about, let's see, we did W-2 employees versus 1099 contractors. What's the difference? What does the IRS consider the difference to be? We had someone come in and talk about customer service best practices. Someone else came in and talked about how the program they utilize to retain employees. So again, CEO peer mentoring group meetings about once a month and 3 hours in duration. They are facilitated by one of our coaches and financial experts. And this is just yet another way that the Chamber is trying to help you expand your entrepreneurial tribe, so to speak. Okay, so that's the CEO peer mentoring group meetings. Now let me talk to you a little bit about the coaches and financial experts. So who in the world volunteers, because this is volunteer and it's a big job to be a coach or financial expert? Well, it's really people who they themselves are building a business in this community. They care about it and they want to help minority businesses grow. So they are business owners typically, and we do have a few who don't own their own business, but their corporate positions have them serving in capacities that support small business. It is what they bring to the table is their experience and their ability to offer you some suggestions, share their knowledge. They are not there to tell you how to run your business. But again, they become part of your entrepreneurial circle. The commitment that participants make and coaches is to meet with their coach once a month. And during those meetings, what you're doing is explaining to your coach, who by the way is obviously not going through the program, you as a participant are explaining what you've learned, how you're applying it to your business, and how your strategic growth action plan is progressing. So you're always reviewing that document and more importantly, the ideas that you have behind it. The way that we coach or the way that we match coaches and participants is what you heard in the video. And so for those of you applying to the program, here's a piece of homework. Between now and your interview, we need you to really be thinking about what are those 2 or 3 areas that you find most challenging in developing your business, because that is exactly what we're going to use to match to the coach's skills inventory, where again, what they've said is, you know, I think these are 2 or 3 areas where I could really make an impact or help someone. Coaches really become cheerleaders, friends, and mentors. And as an example, I can tell you that one of the people I coached received an honorary degree from a higher education institution throughout the year. It was so fun for me to go and celebrate with her. Someone else this year celebrated their 15th year in business. How fun to be able to support and celebrate with them through that. So that's the role of the coach. Now, our financial experts, as Nika indicated, are people who have broad and deep financial understanding and experience. So they are CPAs, CFOs, we have counselors from the SBDC, and bankers, for example. All people with financial understanding. And again, we've brought them in because every year when we ask people, what are those 2 or 3 areas you're most challenged by? Financial understanding is always either number 1 or 2. Our financial experts are not assigned to one person like our coaches are. They're usually assigned to 2 or 3. And their role is to be present with you during sessions 4, 5, and 6 that Wendell teaches, having to do with financial understanding. So they are there to help you understand the curriculum learning and then to help you in the design of your strategic growth action plan that has to do with developing your financial dashboard, identifying what are those key performance indicators and ratios in your business, in your particular business, that you should be tracking. In the beginning of the year, the financial expert and coach will meet with you jointly. What we've said to our financial experts is, given that they have such a specific area of expertise, we're going to leave it up to them, you, and your coach to figure out how often will it be where they are joining those meetings. But they've all made the commitment to be available to you throughout the year to answer questions about your finances. So that's the role of the financial experts. I have to say that to echo Wendell's sentiments, my gosh, this COVID environment, it seemed to bring out more commitment and success than any of us could have ever imagined in our participants. And I also have to give, a big shout out to our coaches and financial experts, because they too were trying to operate businesses in this environment, and their commitment was equally strong. So I guess I want to say in closing that if you are a person who loves to learn, who really is at a point where you want to scale your business, and here's 2 things very important. If you are ready to be open and transparent about the challenges of your business and to be open to other ideas, suggestions, and ways of doing things, then I really hope that you will apply to this program. And I look forward to meeting all of you. So thanks, Nika.
Thank you so much, Beth. We really appreciate all of your contributions to the program and you sharing today. So now we're going to move to another exciting portion of today's agenda, and that is allowing you to hear live directly from some of the participants who are part of this year's cohort. So I'm just going to call them by name, and they're going to share a few moments about their experience with MBA. And we'll start first with Tamika Austin Gibson, because I see her camera's already on. And so we'll go first with Tamika, and then followed by Tamika, who is actually the owner of Visions Medical Center. We're going to have Justin Jenkins with Paveway. And then following Justin Jenkins, we'll have Ebony Sullivan of Cassie Electric. So once the person finishes, go ahead and unmute yourself and come on camera, and the next person can share, and then we will proceed from there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. As Nika said, I'm Tamika Austin Gibson. I'm the owner of Visions Medical Healthcare, a primary care and house calls practice. So my business before the MBA, I don't even know where to begin. I got up every morning and just operated in a mentality of a grinding mode, not having any processes set in place, any policies. I didn't even have an orientation process for my employees. Being a part of this program has helped me scale my business in several ways. Since being in the MBA, I now have a manager. Before then, I was trying to take on the task of everything myself. And we know that when you're doing a million tasks, you can't be great at everything. So there were a lot of things that I was failing at, if I'm honest, or things that were being missed. So being in the MBA, it taught me to evaluate myself, evaluate my business, and put in place some implementations to better my company and help me expand. A major problem for me initially was the finances. It was a nightmare. Even in the program, it was hard for me because we fear what we don't know. And I knew nothing about finances. So that helped us learn what we needed to know where our money was going, what was coming in, what we needed to actually hire employees. During our SGAP, it was definitely challenging, but it is a significant document just to your growth. You can view it, celebrate yourself when you see that you've achieved one of those goals, or even challenge yourself to achieve those goals a lot quicker. Being here today for you guys that are interested in MBA, you guys definitely won't regret it. I hope you can see from our testimonies how beneficial and rewarding the MBA program is. I've just been doing awesome since this, and every day is not sunny, but what I can say, the mentors and your cohort members, they are fantastic. They're not gonna make you feel like you're in it alone. Being an entrepreneur can be very, very lonely, and many don't understand, even your husbands, your wives. So just knowing that you're not alone is another great nugget that I received from the MBA program. I can go on and on and on, but guys, you definitely, as Wendell said, you want to invest in yourself. This is a a lifetime investment that you guys can look back on for days. Relationships that are built during this time from your cohorts as well as your mentors, and being able to reach out to your mentors, individuals that have experienced this process before, and then just your cohort members that you know they're in it with you guys. So I say good luck to all of you guys as you decide to journey through this process. Definitely won't regret it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Justin Jenkins, CEO of Paveways Express, a regional trucking company based in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm currently a 2020 MBA participant. I agree with Tamika. Once we first came into the program, Paveways Express was all over the place. And since then, we learned processes and systems, policies and procedures, and how to read my financials. I had a CPA coming into the program, but I still didn't understand my financials, and the program was a big part in me understanding my financials. Most importantly, I learned how to think like a CEO, and that's a big part trying to scale a company. Our first step we implemented QuickBooks. We implemented a transportation management system. We also branded our company from Peculiar Marketing. Amy, you guys will meet her once you get into the program. We was able to scale our company from 10 trucks to 20 trucks with implementing everything that we learned from the program, and it was during COVID. Currently, our staff consists of myself as CEO. I have one contracted CFO, 27 drivers, 4 logistics coordinators, 1 safety director, and 2 on-site mechanics. And all this came from the MBA program. We wouldn't have been able to scale to the size we at now if I wouldn't have never joined the MBA program back in January. So I want to advise everyone on here who thinking about joining this program. It's not a thought, it's a no-brainer. Take this program, it'll take your company to levels that you would never expected to be at. And it's a great community. I have a coach, one of the great coaches in the program. He helped me out a lot. My financial expert, Wendell, Nika, Bev, it's a tight-knit community, and they're supportive of each other. So this is a great program to be in.
Thank you. And I'm looking for Ebony. Do we have Ebony Sullivan on with Cassie Electric? I'm looking through the participant list right now. I don't see her, but if Ebony happens to join, we'll give her a moment to share as well. But she's also a part of the 2020 MBA cohort. And you've heard us reference that we had a meeting earlier today, and she did tell us that she was having a business-related situation that she was needing to tend to. So maybe she's still dealing with that. But nonetheless, thank you so much, Tamika. And thank you, Justin, for sharing your stories. Now we're going to continue with today's topic, and I want to invite Earl Gregridge to come share. He's with the South Carolina SBDC, and I believe that Michelle is actually going to come and share as well before Greg. Earl.
Hi, I'm Michelle Abraham. I'm the State Director for the South Carolina Small Business Development Centers, and just want to say how much of a pleasure it is to work with Nika and the whole team here. We really enjoy our interaction through various stages of this process, and Earl is going to talk more about the feeder program that we developed to try to help identify more potential companies that would be a great potential participant in the MBA program. But at the same time, this provides just some great foundations for people that end up going through this or not. So I'm really excited. I think Earl will talk about how it really gives you the foundations to feed right into MBA. And, just want to make sure you all know that as you go through this phenomenal program, you're going to develop a terrific network of colleagues and encouragers. And I encourage you to maintain those as you go through the program and after you leave the program, but also know that the SBDC works with existing businesses all over the state. And so as you leave this program at the end of it, know that we're here to continue to work with you and help you go to the next step beyond, and just give you an opportunity to continue to have some direct coaching and support from us as you take that next step. So those needs that Earl is going to talk about that feed right into what you've just heard really is the crux of the MBA program will involve marketing, business planning, both short-term and long-term, sales and growth strategies, workforce management, and financial management. So again, just excited for you to be here to hear about this. Congratulate each of you for having the foresight to join this session today and learn more about it. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Earl, and he's going to tell you more about the Entrepreneurial Pathways program. So Earl?
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. And welcome everybody, and happy to be here tonight to tell you more about the Entrepreneurial Pathways program. If we could go to the next slide, please. First, a little bit about the Small Business Development Center, who we are, what we do. We are a nationwide organization. We have 20 locations across the state of South Carolina, 50 consultants just like myself, offering services that you see listed there. We primarily operate by providing no-cost consultation services to small business owners. We also do training programs, much like you see today in these slides. And also we do a lot of connecting of the dots with many of the resources in the area. Our offices are very well connected throughout the entrepreneurial community, and that's why we're part of the MBA program as well. We believe wholeheartedly in the MBA program, and we were very excited when we were asked to help develop this introductory or feeder program for MBA. So with that, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about what we do and how we go about it. The Entrepreneurial Pathways program is conducted by myself as the primary consultant and two other consultants this year, Ben Smith and Ben Calhoun, who are also in the Clemson region, will be instructors of the various topics that you will be seeing here on our slides. We conduct these courses virtually this year. We've done them in person in the past, obviously, but virtually this time until otherwise noted. We start out with
building a sound business foundation, and that really focuses in on making sure that all of those basic things that you needed to get squared away when you first started the business are taken care of. As you start a business, you hit the ground running, and sometimes you miss this or miss that along the way, and we're here to kind of help make sure that you got that all squared away and all of the regulatory issues are taken care of and so on. Business planning, marketing planning is also addressed there. So if you haven't done any of that, it's getting you prepared again for the MBA program by laying some of that basic foundational planning that is required. We move on to business financial skills, which you've heard from several folks throughout the MBA program, as well as leading into the MBA program, that financials are really a huge part of why we do this type of training, both in the entrepreneurial pathways, daily within the SBDC through the MBA. Financials are mysterious to most small business owners, so we do spend a fair amount of time on financials, making sure you understand what is important, what numbers you need to be focused on, how to compile some of these financial reports that you will hear more and more about as you progress through the Minority Business Accelerator program. And then, of course, we also introduce you to QuickBooks, because that is one of the primary software packages used out there in small business today. The next couple of sessions that we move into would be funding. Many businesses, whether it's startup, growth, or just seeking a particular opportunity, will require funding at some point. So we do cover what it means to seek funding, and it's not an easy process, as many of you already know, but we talk about what types of funding are available to small business, how you might approach, how do you prepare and get ready for that funding. And then we also have a section on marketing and sales, which usually number one and number two of the challenges that we see in small business is funding, financials, and then the marketing and sales aspect of things. So we do spend a fair amount of time on that. Everything from traditional marketing to digital marketing, online e-commerce, all of those things are discussed in our sessions in that particular area. And then the last section that we have, if we could switch slides there, is we will have the opportunity for you to select two topical sessions that you can see from the list there, get a little bit deeper into maybe some areas that you've identified over the previous 8 sessions that maybe you want to get into a little bit further. Maybe it was an area that you feel that you're a little bit weaker in those areas, or maybe you want to strengthen that particular aspect of your business. So we offer some additional in-depth sessions at the end, two sessions that you can choose from. And we will discuss each of those in depth. And keep in mind that while it's myself, Ben Calhoun, and Ben Smith, we will also be bringing in experts from the outside. For instance, when we teach web design or social media, we may bring in a business owner who has gone through that process and can lend some real world tips. But in general, that's the gist of the program, what we actually teach and how it's broken down. If we go to the last slide, you can see the details on how we can register, when it's going to begin, and basically what your investment will be, both in time and in budgetary amounts. And we hope to see you in the MBA program, and if not there, in the Entrepreneurial Pathways program. So thank you very much. Back to you, Nika.
Thank you so much, both to you, Michelle, and to Earl. We really appreciate the partnership with SBDC. It has been great. And many of you that are here today, a part of this interest meeting, you're here because you were a graduate of the Entrepreneurial Pathways program. And so the program is working exactly as we wanted it to in terms of building up a pipeline of business leaders that we can engage in the MBA program. So when you apply, you are in essence applying for both of the programs. And as you go through the vetting process, the selection committee will be asking very pointed questions to be able to decipher where you're going to get the most benefits, whether it's in the Entrepreneurial Pathways or in the MBA program. So what I want to do now is just take you through the application process and the timeline. So I'm going to go to the next slide, and you'll see that there is a process. Many of you have already seen the application. It is available online on the Greenville Chamber's website. This afternoon, after this meeting, I will send an email to each of you who registered, and it will include not only a copy of the application, we'll also give you a copy of the schedule for 2021 so that you can begin to look at those dates and see if it's going to work for your schedule. I do share with audiences that if you do not meet what sometimes people will refer to as a requirement, don't let that prevent you from applying, because again, we are vetting you for both the feeder program and the MBA program. There is an interview and a select to pick finalists for the selection of the MBA 2021 cohort. Those will be conducted virtually. Of course, we're in this pandemic right now, so we've been doing a lot of our work virtually. And there's also an investment in the program. So I will share with you that the value that's assigned per participant to this program is $15,000. That is our best guesstimate. And the reason I say that is because Enterprise has done its own homework to identify that a formula that allows us to know that the value of just the curriculum portion is $10,000. But there are so many other components that are layered onto this year-long experience, including the coaching, that we have been able to identify additional value. And so, but the cost for each participant is only $500. You're making an investment of $500 into yourself and into your business. And that's just a one-time fee. It covers the materials that you will receive, which is a binder and access to the online platform where a lot of the materials and the resources are available. It's called iConnect. So definitely, as Wendell said in the video, invest in yourself. So if you look at this slide, you'll see the dates that align between getting us from the point we are today, which is, of course, appealing to potential prospects of the program. The application deadline is on the 13th, and that's at 5 p.m. And that's a strict deadline. I do want to stress that because we have a very tight window of opportunity to do the vetting, to do the interviews, make the final selection so that the new cohort can be announced at the 2020 MBA cohort graduation on December 8th. And then the kickoff is January 8th. And from there, it is a pretty intense schedule, but it certainly does allow for people to get acclimated to the curriculum, to each other. Community is really important for us. We have to make sure we're creating a space where people can feel like they can be transparent, as they support each other. And so we put a lot of effort and time into every component, every touch point that is aligned with MBA. One of the things that I'll share as I think back to a lot of the commentary that's gone forth so far is that what we hear time and time again that businesses really appreciate by going through this program is that they have been in this mindset of working in their business. They're in the trenches day in and day out, and this helps them to grow to the point to where they're much more strategic. They're thinking about their business growth, which means you have to work on the business. And so making that transition has been really important for people. And then the sense of community. I love the fact that Tamika and her portion of sharing, she mentioned that entrepreneurship can be very isolating and it can be very lonely. You know, you can't necessarily talk to your employees about maybe some of the challenges you're going through because you want them to feel a sense of security. So you need that tribe of people that are in your corner supporting you, that can be thought partners with you. And that's one of the great assets of this program. And last point that I'll make before I transition is just to acknowledge the fact that this year has been really, really tough with all that's going on. And myself, Beth, and Wendell, as we began to talk about how we needed to evolve the program to make sure that we were aligning the efforts with the needs of the participants, we were blown away at the heightened level of increased commitment to the program, even after COVID hit. And it was not that it was because it was easy, it was hard. But I think that the individuals that were part of the cohort really recognize that more than any time, we need this level of accountability. We need this support of community. And we need to make sure that we have a plan as we're thinking intently about ways to pivot and to operate maybe slightly different to make sure that we're remaining relevant. And so Sometimes people say, do I have the time for this? I don't have the time for this. But if you were to investigate this further, you can't afford to say no to something like this. And so invest in yourself, as it's already been stated. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and feel free to turn your cameras on, because I would love the opportunity to bring other voices into the conversation. If you have questions or thoughts that you want to contribute, I want to give you a chance to do so. And I'm going to invite Wendell and Beth to assist me with the questions, as well as, of course, Earl with the SBDC, and Michelle if she's still on. So what questions do you have? This is now your opportunity to make sure that you're walking away well-informed as you move towards action of completing your application and getting it in.
Hey, Nika, this is Michael. That $500 commitment, is that still tied to the joining the Greenville Chamber as well?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. And so to be a part of the program, there are two primary requirements, one of which is if you're selected for the program, there is a $500 fee that has to be paid before the start of the program. And again, that start date is January the 8th. And then you also need to be a member of either the Greenville Chamber or Spartanburg Chamber. And so the reason why is because we want to make sure that you have resources that can help you as you're navigating this journey of entrepreneurship. And so this is just one component of so many resources and opportunities that are available through being connected to your local chamber. The other thing too is we have had a number of investors that have poured dollars at this program, and they've said, go be successful, create businesses that can grow and thrive and create jobs and contribute at a higher level to our economy and society. And so we want to make sure that there's skin in the game, if you will. And quite honestly, we find that it is so much of a richer experience when individuals have put some type of personal investment into the program. And so that's the reason that we have those two elements in place. Thank you for that question, Michael. And Michael, I realized that as I was looking through the chat, you placed a comment in there about your experience being a part of the Entrepreneurial Pathways. And so I just want to give you a moment. I know we heard testimonials from those who have gone through MBA, but is there anything further that you would like to share or willing to share with this community relevant to the Entrepreneurial Pathways experience?
Yeah, I'm Michael. My company is Mance Multimedia. And before I started the Pathways program, I was a DBA sole proprietor. Right, I think maybe a day after the session where we talked about LLC, S corps, and things of that nature, I switched over, and it's been a world of a difference for me in that matter. All the information we discussed about QuickBooks, and I was doing it using Excel spreadsheets and manually trying to put things together. And then some of the tools and resources they give you access to through the website, it just automatically did it for me. I was able to input my numbers and look at cash flow and things of that nature and projections. It just made my job a lot easier because the business I do a lot of the work myself because I'm working towards having employees. So the processes and things that were taught allowed me to be able to free up some of my time. And I'm amazed at how much strides I have been able to make just because of the pathways. And I'm interested in taking this as well. So I hope some of the information I just shared is enlightening to you guys. So,
Michael, any other questions at this time?
Is the investment for the MBA program the same?
I'm sorry, I didn't capture that question. Try one more time for me, please.
I'm sorry, is the investment for the MBA program and the Entrepreneurial Pathways program the same?
No, it's not. So the MBA program, the financial investment is $500 for the actual program. And then of course, as we mentioned before, you do need to be a member of either the Greenville or the Spartanburg Chamber. The cost for the Entrepreneurial Pathways program was $299, if I'm remembering correctly from the slide that Greg Earl took us through just a moment ago.
That's correct.
And there's a lot of differences in the programs, in that MBA is a year-long program, whereas Entrepreneurial Pathways, it's over, I think, a total of 8 sessions. And so it's much more condensed. But again, it's intended to be that bridge between where a business is to, being able to get the most out of the MBA program. Any other questions? Or if not questions, maybe any other contributions from anyone that's, one of the stakeholders of the MBA program that would like to share anything further that would be of help to this audience.
Hi, Nika, this is Bernard. I wanted to share a couple of very important things. Number one, the Greenville Chamber of Commerce and their MBA program, as Nika talked about, has been around now for almost 8 years, which is hugely impressive on 2 major fronts. Number one, it shows a real dedicated, long-standing engagement for minority businesses in the area. On top of that, with these new partnerships and bringing in collaborative efforts, you're seeing an even deeper dive as now we move into recovery, resiliency, but making sure that we maintain that opportunity piece. The other thing I will say, Enterprise is, national in terms of what we do, but there is no program partner like the Chamber in our entire portfolio. We have, about 110 different program offerings. This program is so unique in that it's a year-long engagement. On top of that, they bring in all of these really magnificent subject matter experts that have a true rooting interest in your business. At the same time, they're going to help you increase what it is that your blind spots are. And so I just wanted to say that we as Enterprise are so honored to be partnering with the Chamber. This is a really innovative program. And as now we look at the next few years for small business owners, particularly those that are minority, this is the most, I'd say, opportune time to hop in the boat and really set yourself up for not just long-term, but short and medium-term success as well.
Very much appreciate that, Bernard. Our partnership with Enterprise has been so important, and definitely was a great decision once we decided to level up our curriculum. And we just appreciate the partnership. So thank you for being here, Bernard.
Absolutely.
I'd like to add that when it comes to the MBA program or the Entrepreneurial Pathways program, your biggest cost for this program is not the money. Your biggest cost is your time that you put into it to get out of it with the effort that you put in. That's really the biggest cost for you. Because either way, based on what your skill set is, that will help determine which path is best for you. And Nika and Beth and Wendell, they're going to make sure that you get geared towards the right program. But it's time. And the more time that you can put into it, the more effort you put into it, you're going to see so much more reward than what the monetary value is.
Such a good point. Thank you for amplifying that, Austin. Okay, well, we are getting close to the top of, the end of our time together today, but I certainly want to make sure, I'm looking at the chat now to see if some perhaps have asked questions by chat. So S.T. Taylor is asking, what is the time commitment weekly for the MBA program? So let me attempt to answer the question, and then certainly I will ask Beth and or Wendell to add to it as well. The way in which the schedule works is that the class portion of the MBA is at the front half of the year. So pretty much from January until July, every 2 to 3 weeks, you are in a half-day session. Again, for 2021, the program is going to be virtual as it was this year in March. And then in addition to meeting with the entire class for half a day, every 2 to 3 weeks, you also are going to be meeting half a day in your CEO peer mentoring group. And then we also require that you connect one-on-one with your assigned coach at least once a month. And then there's, of course, reading and other outside of class assignments and responsibilities that we ask you to make sure that you are prepared for. And so that hopefully that gives you a little bit of a better idea. Once the curriculum portion is complete, again, around July, the second half of the year, you are mostly just operating towards the actionable items that have been identified in your strategic growth action plan. We do still continue to convene once a month, though, for the CEO peer mentoring groups. That's primarily for accountability. That's where you're also getting to hear from subject matter experts. And so I'll pause here to see if Beth and or Wendell would like to add anything more relevant to the timing question.
Hey, Nika, I'm gonna shock him and put him on the spot. Justin, unmute yourself for a second, buddy, because again, we can tell you what we think, but you just came through it. So and you're doing very well. You're implementing a lot of the stuff that's been taught. So on a weekly basis, how much time? What was the time commitment for you for the program?
On a weekly basis, I would say about 10 to 15 hours, about 10 hours. Again, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So every individual is going to be different. But I would say if you want to gain a lot from it, about 10 to 15 hours.
So roughly about 2 hours a day that you committed yourself to that, to studying the material.
And that's including the time when we had our session as well.
Right.
So, right.
Thank you, Beth.
So there's a question, can this program be, Beth, did you have something to add before I go to the next question?
I would only add that, first of all, I love, Wendell, that you asked Justin that. And Justin, I think that what you said, we hear often from participants. So if that sounds overwhelming to people on the call, I just want you to think about the fact that this is your baby, right? Your business. This is your livelihood. So this is not drudgery to do this work. It's actually quite invigorating. That's all I was going to add.
Great, thank you, Beth. And so one of the questions that's come through the chat is, can this program be beneficial to startup companies? And so to answer that question, it's not beneficial for the MBA program if you are a startup, but Entrepreneurial Pathways, yes, absolutely, it can be beneficial. One of the requirements for MBA program, and I use the word requirement loosely because we definitely have benchmarks that we try to stay close to, because we understand that having done this program for a number of years, there's certain factors that leads to the success level of different businesses that are in the program. But being in the business for at least a minimum of 3 years is one of the things that we tend to look for MBA. So Millicent says that she's ready to take her business to the next level. Yvette's Kitchen is ready. Do I pay after the interview acceptance phase? And so yes, you can go through the process of determining whether or not you are selected, and before actually paying the $500 program fee. Okay, I think that's all the questions for now. So again, you're going to receive an email from me this afternoon, and it will have the application attached, just so it's easy quick access for you, as well as the 2021 schedule. And then I'll also provide a copy of today's PowerPoint deck. And so if you have any questions, it'll have my contact information. Feel free to reach out. I'll be more than happy to talk with you further if there's something you think of beyond today. But we appreciate your interest. We appreciate your willingness to engage further to understand how this could be a good resource for you. And we hope that you will apply. Again, the deadline is November 13th at 5 p.m., firm deadline for applications. And if you know of others, perhaps that did not get an opportunity to attend today, feel free to share this information with them. We'd love to have a good applicant pool of candidates that we can engage in this process. Okay, so a question just came in. Can you explain the need for 3 years minimum operation for MBA? So the best way to just address that is because we get in depth into the MBA program. It is for those businesses that already have 3 years of data, especially when we start, when we talk about the financial module. You need to actually produce 3 years of data. And also that 3-year mark is honestly when a lot of businesses can feel more comfortable about being at a place where you're kind of out of that risk area. I know that now times are different, so but those are some of the reasons that we require businesses to be at least 3 years old. Okay, I was waiting to see if any other questions were coming in. Okay, so that's it for me. Beth, Wendell, am I missing anything? Earl? Okay, so I'm getting thumbs up. All righty, great. Well, thank you. Thank you all so very much. Really appreciate your time, and we look forward to being in touch with each of you. Take care. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Sure.